everybody, and very welcome to the 9th episode of our broadcast of brain function series from the Togetherness Media, Los Angeles. Mohammad Nami is here. I'm a medical cognitive neuroscientist, and I'm again very pleased and fascinated for the opportunity of talking to you on the beauties and also the mysteries and how the brain functions and what would happen when the functionality of brain is not exactly what we expect to be, and we are facing neuropathologies. So we've discussed about some different pillars and on neuropathological states in earlier sessions, and now today my task is to share with you some key highlights regarding another behavioral and emotional state predicament that many of us are facing specifically during these uncertain time of COVID, and that's the anxiety disorder. To learn more about the features of anxiety disorders, first we got to understand about the differences between the term stress and anxiety. So first and foremost, stress per se is not always negatively impacting our functionality. It does not negatively impact our brain all the time. As such, we do have the eustress, where we have beneficial state of stress conditions. So when we are having this friction with the outside world, we acquire the information, we process, reprocess, decide, and act upon it. Then we are using this useful or eustress to potentiate our functionality, to be performing quite well. But sometimes, instead of eustress, we do have distress, which means something which is literally negatively affecting our functionality and our aptitude, our cognitive aptitude, or behavioral, emotional aptitude, and even our motor or sensory function. And that is called distress. So when we have the accumulation of distress, and distress is not getting diagnosed and treated and counteracted, so by time we're facing some dysregulation or emotional control. And that dysregulation in the state of emotional control would normally, be aggravated when it's left untreated, when it's left undiagnosed. But by time we'll be having affective disorders or stress anxiety disorder. And the anxiety disorder, if it is likewise left untreated, then we'll be having affective diseases or emotional diseases or disorders, which are sometimes going to be devastating conditions. And the people are really going to use their functionality and cognitive behavioral aptitudes. They lose their job. They just get isolated. They wouldn't like to interact with the outside world. They overeat. They have issues with their sleep. They have problem with thinking. So everything is affected by these what if thoughts that's just racing in their mind. So some people have like domain specific stress. For example, I have stress when I'm just positioned in the context X. But some other people, they are literally concerned about everything. Actually, they are over concerned, literally about everything. So they are just overwhelmed with this what if thoughts every now and then. And they have this generalized state of anxiety, what is overall referred to as GAD as a disorder, which stands for generalized anxiety disorder. Some other people have this obsessive thoughts, and they have thought rumination. So they just ruminate and reiterate all those negative thoughts, specifically things that would possibly happen in the future. It is not very likely to be the case, but I'm always concerned about it. And by that, I'm going to do something to prevent that untoward happening and untoward, like an event. And that is how I'm going to get involved with negative thoughts all over again every day. And by that, I'll be having obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD. When we have a range of anxiety-related disorders, some people would have this outburst of behavioral output. They would have some, autonomic nervous system discharges. They have this sympathetic overdrive, if you like. So they would have this racing heart. They would have like dry mouth. They would have tremor. They would be having tinnitus or dizziness. They would be having, heartburn, or some people call it like a butterfly in the stomach sensation. So yeah. This is the order of the day for those people. And by that, at some instances, they might be experiencing very robust and tolerable attacks of anxiety, state, which is called panic disorder or panic attacks. So we already talked about so far regarding, we've talked about generalized anxiety disorder, GAD, obsessive compulsive disorder. We have touched on panic disorder. And some people are drastically suffering from phobias. There might be generalized phobia or, negative thought that they're always concerned about it. They are scared about something, pathologically scared about something to be happening. And they might be having a specific phobias, for example, like phobia of a snake, phobia of a spider, phobia of height, phobia of death, or so on and so forth. So these phobic disorders, when they become really intense, then they are going to drastically affect the productivity and personal life of the people. So with regard to the stress-related disorders, we have seen many people that they have encountered, have been facing a very, very unpleasant happening or incident in the future. For example, they have been involved in an accident scene. They have been in a battlefield, like the war veterans, or they have lost a friend, they have lost a loved one in a crash accident, or whatever. So the thing is that we all go through that, but by time we're going to adjust ourselves with it. But these people, they do not have the capacity of adjusting their mind, their brain, and their cognition with this kind of negative emotional insult. And they're going to, recalling and reframing all those scenarios very clearly, very vividly every now and then. So by time, they will be having the accumulation of the stress caused by the recall of those problems. And by that, they would be having PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder. This is something really important, and that's tragic. Many people are struggling with that condition, and in the context of psychiatry or clinical medicine, sometimes these cases are really difficult to treat. So we got to be thinking about alternative therapeutic options to help those people, either from the behavioral science perspective or neurotechnological advances and modern neuroscience solutions. Some other people, they might be having social anxiety disorder, and by that, they would find it really difficult to appear in public, and they have phobia from getting involved in public and social activities. So having them all considered and all discussed and understood about some different kinds of behavioral affective disorders, question is how we can counteract this. The first and foremost is that we need to follow a healthy lifestyle habit, which is brain-friendly habit. And first, it has been clearly shown in the scientific literature that physical activity and regular exercise is going to help us to stay away from unwanted emotional, distress and dysregulation. So sport and getting trained into sports, and also regular exercise, simply walking like 3 times a week, each time for 30 minutes. This is the least amount of physical exercise recommended. Also, we got to be thinking about our diet and follow a very healthy diet habits. We need to have an eye on our sleep. So when the sleep irregularity is not a case, when we have issues with sleep maintenance or an initiation of a sleep, or when we wake up in the morning, we don't feel refreshed, we always complain about this unrefreshing sleep, something is probably not right. So we got to see a doctor, a sleep specialist, and discuss about the predicaments of that sort. And also staying away from the physical stressors, like air pollution, like noises and whatever. And by that also refraining from smoking, and also over drinking and using the substances, recreational substances. And these are all going to help us to counteract the state of anxiety in many instances, and also to help us to have a better control of our emotions. And we need to empower our capacity and skills in stress management. So one of those measures that we can apply is that we need to do all those healthy habits, as I just indicated, and we discussed about it. Also, we need to do some further practices of mindfulness, relaxation, And mindfulness-based cognitive practices, meditation, yoga, praying, and the power of silence, if you like, and also doing all the things that puts you in an cognitive ease state that would help us to stay away from unwanted, distressing worries, and that's how we're going to conquer our worries. So let's stay vigilant and stay mindful about the way in front of us, and there's just one way, and that's to counteract our distressing worries. Otherwise, we're going to lose it, all right? And we'll get lost in the world filled with all stressors and all unpleasant happenings and the things that we do not need to encounter, but they are already there. Can we omit them? Can we remove all those things? No, they are literally out of our control. But what we can do is that we can think and work on our cognitive flexibility. And remember, my friends, if it's to be, it's up to me. So we do all the things. If the stress condition is negatively hampering my functionality and I cannot control that, sometimes we need to stand firm, and just feel the current status and just reiterate with ourselves that this is the condition. This is how it is, and now it cannot be otherwise. And we need to go for all those remediative measures. If it does not work, then I got to see an expert team. I need to consult a psychologist. I need to, consult an expert physician or like an expert team in neuroscience, psychologists, psychiatrists, and neurologists, whoever can give me a hand to counteract my level of distressing worries and stress. Okay, so I hope that all of us will combat this distress to be more precise. And if there is something not right there, be pretty much cautious to share this with an expert team to seek assistance and help for that. Thank you for listening, and it's always great to be talking to you, and I hope that we'll get a chance of discussing further things in the upcoming episode 10 next week. Thank you so much. Be well.